back out today for another immersion with one of my best friends. Yeah, my friend. I was telling my son about my walk the other day and said I cried and I laughed, and he said, that's kind of weird. And I said, well, you know, I spent 5.5 months out in the middle of the woods all by myself, and the trail is like a friend. And he said, that's even weirder. But it is. You feel this connection to almost I don't know if it's human form, but is it God? I don't know. Is it? There's a beingness out here for sure. And I guess I just don't need to describe it to know that it exists. And the nice thing is I don't have to label it. It can just be what it is. I think it's a combination of movement, changes my body chemically. I mean, that's been proven, right? And then there's this state of awe, and that has actually been proven to change brain chemicals. You know, they've used awe in depression studies, and they find that it makes a difference. So there's that. And then it's all the sights, the smells, the sounds. It's being outside of yourself, at least for me, to some extent. You know, not in my head, not in all my thoughts, although I'm verbalizing my thoughts, so I don't even know if that's different. So I saw my doctor yesterday, and he's running blood work for some autoimmune issues. I mentioned that I have a history of autoimmune in my family, as well as sometimes during my life where some things would flare up. So we're doing that testing. Also, autoimmune genes can be turned on and off through stress and trauma in the body. And so this is a good time for me to check that out and just clear that off the plate as potential issues. As far as the pain in my body, he also prescribed a anti-inflammatory, which I'm not sure if I'm going to take. I think I am, but I'm still hesitating. You know, I don't like to take medication, and so it will be hard for me to do, but I believe that if my body is experiencing pain from systematic inflammation, that it might be a good idea, at least temporarily, to give my body a break. And maybe I could incorporate more movement if I wasn't in so much pain. And then he also gave me the prescription of getting outside. He saw me speak about what being out here the other day did for my mental stability and my emotional well-being. And so it's part of the prescription to get out, even if it's just sitting out here or walking or whatever, nothing strenuous. And finally, he recommended an insert for my shoes. It looks like there may be some plantar fasciitis, but mostly trauma in the form of a bruising that is happening in my heel because I have higher arches. You know, I wear zero drop shoes with very minimal support. So the constant miles, I was telling someone recently that, you know, for me, I believe in the barefoot movement as long as that is the way that you've been most of the time, or if you're getting into that movement, do it slowly. For sure. I've always been barefoot, so I think it's important to strengthen those muscles. But if you're a runner or an athlete or maybe even a thru hiker, then some support can be helpful. At least for me with this injury, I'm considering trying out a different brand of shoe. I'm going to look into Topo Athletics. I think they're highly recommended on trail. A lot of people do well with them. The complaint that I hear is that they do require sometimes some breaking in. They do blister in areas. I'm not sure. So I'm going to order some and have those for my next weekend little backpacking trip and see how I do with that. Another update that I hesitate to mention, but I think it's important. So for those of you who identify as being completely male and don't want to hear anything about women, women's issues anyway. Just fast forward. But I'm going to talk about menstruation for a second because I am 53. I have been in a state of menopause for a couple of years at least. And last week I got some signs of having a cycle. And so that's just weird. And if you are a athlete, or you, specifically if you're an athlete or very physically active, you may be familiar with amenorrhea, which is cessation of your cycle or your period anyway, due to physical activities, they call it. There's a trifecta of things going on, but this seems to be maybe Thru-hike related. I don't know. It just is confirmation for me, the amount of stress the body goes into and through with a thru-hike. And so if you're identifying as a female and you are going to attempt to thru-hike and this happens to you, just know that it's not just you. Definitely happened to me, and I may be doing some hormone testing, but right now my doctor just recommends me kind of sitting on it and seeing if it repeats itself, or if it was just like a one-off thing of my body just readjusting to my current state. I'll keep you posted. I think that I should also mention that the pain in my shoulders could be hormone related. For those of you who are not familiar or don't know, that when your estrogen drops, the elastin, I don't know. Anyway, that in the tendons and so forth in your body. Think about third trimester pregnancy, you get all loosey-goosey. Well, that can happen during menopause as well. And so frozen shoulder and other shoulder issues are not uncommon. They are a very uncommon link to that. And I experience some of that, but it is something that I've heard often with my female friends. So I think it's important to put the word out there that this frozen shoulder thing is something that can flare up during that period of time of your life. And perhaps because I'm experiencing both like hormonal shifts and also shoulder pain, that this could be a link, and I'm looking into that as well. I did about 8 laps on this trail weekly for the last couple of months before I hit the Appalachian Trail. And it got really boring in some ways. In other ways, I saw things repeatedly that caught my eye. Took the same picture over and over and over again. And some things just, they change, like the seasons specifically, and the views and the things that I paid attention to. Especially as the seasons changed, it could be the temperature or the color of the leaves, or if it had rained, then the amount of water on trail in the wintertime, the ice. There were so many things that were different and so many things that were the same. And it has me contemplating a few lessons from a book that I just completed by Gretchen Rubin called Living Life in the Five Senses. And she invites the reader to have a practice of visiting the same place every week and noticing what changes in regards to the things that you sense into, whether it's the things you see, the things you feel, smell. What are the other sentences? I'm missing some. Anyway, here's another one. And I'm doing that today on my hike. What am I seeing that's different than 2 days ago? Same trail, different things to look at. What am I hearing? What am I smelling? That's a big one for me. I just love the smell of being out here. And it's cooler today than it was the other day, so my hands are cold. So I'm noticing that. Living life in the five senses. So much richer when you pay attention. As I finish my hike today, I'm reflecting on some of the things that I miss from the trail. And one of those things is freedom, but not freedom in how you may think of it, like freedom from society and stuff, a little bit, but just freedom to be that human that we are. We are animals in some way, and so the freedom to move how we want or feel or and there was something that was really valuable on trail, that you could be a part of nature and respect all of those things that come with it, including your embodiment of that nature. And after 3 miles, if 3.5, something like that, of hiking, I can say that my foot is bothering me a little bit. My knee doesn't bother me. My shoulders are a bit sore. And I don't know if that's from walking or the fact that I added my handstand practice into yoga this morning. It feels, I've been getting upside down in headstands, but not handstands. And there's just a whole other element to that. It's really good to get upside down and change your perspective, but it does require the body to find that equilibrium in body temperature and in blood flow. And so I immediately felt warm in my system, and there was that little dizziness when I stood up. And that's something that went away over time. So the more you practice, the more the body gets used to that. And so I'll be able to see over the next few days how my shoulders feel in relationship to that practice. And don't forget to look up.